the beauty of a child, a divine child, can cause hypnotism to matter that is not ready to attain light. Now, my somehow perceiving that the beauty within the child is a cause of my own actions only is a perception based in ignorance, yeah, and not knowing, right? What will actually take place is that if I buy into that veil of illusion caused by matter deliberately, right, then I will perceive myself to be the grand owner of the child, which what will happen is I will then stand in the way of the relationship between the divine child, the Christianic Luciferic light child, yeah, and yeah, divinity itself. I stand in the way of that. If I then stand in the way of that relationship, yeah, then what will happen as we continue further on down the timeline, then what was a divine child will now become evil. How will it become evil? Just by that initial cause. The effects further on down the timeline is that the child will now become evil. Why is that? Because the child, I have stepped in and I have then adulterated the child. I have then forced upon that child my perception of reality, which was already previously done to me by my parents also. Yeah. So what does matter do? What does matter do? Matter will presents us with tests, right? And she will test us and continually test us to see whether or not we are worthy. Now those tests are regardless of whether it's going to cause us pain, whether it's going to cause us hardship, whether it's going to cause us a decline. Yeah, those tests are there, and those tests will take place. They have to take place. Yeah. So that is if this is what I'm showing here, that is a perfect example of that. Right. Yeah. Now, the energy that I'm speaking about, that I'm standing in the way of, yeah, is the divine feminine negative force. Why am I calling it a negative force? For good reason. Yeah. Now, what that is me standing in the way of that force. Now, on that last video, I was explaining that the master number 22, I've associated it with Sophia. Yeah. Victoria's voltage. Yeah. CONH. Yeah. Which is the four main elements that make up this place: the oxygen, the hydrogen, yeah, the nitrogen. Without the nitrogen gases, we're not able to sustain ourselves with foods that are growing, because the nitrogen comes from up high, drops itself down, and then reintroduces itself as mama, which we reverse that, which is ammo, which is going to give you ammunition, which is giving you amino acid. Those amino acids, when they are found and given in their corest form, is going to provide an expansive light and joy for the child. Yeah, if that doesn't take place, this is why I'm explaining this. What I teach here, what we give out, and is the real truth that you will not necessarily find it, is real a core depth gnosis, which is aligning what is written, right, and aligning that with actual physical action within nature. Yeah, because many of these aspects are not put together correctly when they're written down and when they are coming from within the previous timeline. So Sophia is associated to this negative force. This child has to be we have to apply supernatural forces. Yeah, but to apply those supernatural forces, for those to flourish, first of all, we have to be able to use negative magnetism, and before that, we're using what we know as a negative ion. They're negative. What does negative do? Negative creates a stillness, and it arrests that which is causing, yeah, a proactive radiating force. So that is creating an equal imbalance. Yeah. Now, if the child doesn't have this, when the child doesn't have this, she's not able to act. It's not able to access as the spiritual bride that is within the being. Yeah. This is where we are at now, right? So that then brings me on to what I want to say, which is about evil again, right? So what matter then does, matter reflects back to us these evils, this evil that has been cast. So what I'm holding, I'm telling a story of a situation that could take place for this divine child right here now over a 30-year time frame. Yeah. And then what will then happen? We will then disassociate ourselves from evil acts. Evil acts are only in place in order for us to recognize them. Matter doesn't care about the finer details of what happens here, because what happens here is illusory. It's not actually actually real. The real abode can only be accessed once this has been mastered. Once this has been mastered, it's either that or we're here to actually allow the truth and allow that growth, yeah, to flourish by either having already have previously done that work prior to this timeline, yeah, prior to this lifetime, and then it's then reincarnating back in here, reincarnating back in here to take that blindfold off of the others. So within Masonry, for example, yeah, after the first 3 degrees, then it's the 4th degree, yeah, where everything starts to take place. But with the Mason, the actual core truth is all of the truths are revealed only through the astral light, the real astral light, yeah, which is going to lead me on to what I'm going to speak about again, what I'm going to release again in a few days, much bigger video than this, yeah. So that truth is only born through that astral light. So if I'm standing in the way of this child, if I'm standing in the way of the beauty of this child, right, yeah, by me perceiving by the beauty that Sophia repels from the child, by me perceiving that I am somehow the creator of that, I then stand in the way of the divine relationship between the child and its own divinity. Yeah. So I am stopping that negative force. Is me stopping that child from going within, in the subtle layer and the subtle planes. That is what I am doing, because I am creating a noise and a racket within that child. Yeah. And because of the child, we are made up of the earth minerals. Yeah. Earth minerals as metals, they vibrate and become in spirit form if we're able to learn how to vibrate them correctly using forms of magic. How do we do that? Going to be going into the plasma, yeah, the zinc plasma, the CO2 plasma, and then after that we'll look at all the gold plasma. The reason I'm saying that to you is this: you've never seen forces that you can enter them into your vessel on one day and they still stay there 4 days later. There's an energy that operates within here, within this place. If you watch something called Maleficent, I would call this the Moors. Yeah, there is the nth degree of matter in a highest degree of beauty in nature here is beyond anything else that you would see. Yeah, but what I'm saying is that the actual divine child itself, in terms of in alignment with the beauty that is bestowed upon us by nature, when we do not include that within our being, when we do not include that and allow that to be at the forefront, then we have to then experience an evil reality. We have to experience an evil reality in order for that reflective mirror to be reflected upon us and for us to recognize it, so that then we can then rise above it. If that doesn't take place, then we become delusional. We become delusioned within the eyes of the wisdom mirror. We stand in the wisdom mirror and we look outwardly, and we think we're doing everything right here, but we are not. And this is how things happen. So through contrast, we learn these things in a country such as this one here now. you find that the people have more etiquette and more manners, etc. Therefore, what we call evil governments and all the rest of it, yeah, it's good, evil. These are all polarities within dualism, right? What then takes place is that there is a more peaceful ambient scenario here, which means that there is now less restrictive behaviour because there is nothing to police. There's nothing here to police because everybody is operating in harmony with one another to a level, to a certain degree. Only to a certain degree, because what I was explaining earlier about the forces, so we got the feminine force, the masculine force, right? They govern the two, right? So we got here, I have a Baphomet here, right? But outside of that, what affects that then is density. It's the density then affects that. So you've got these two forces that need to be balanced, both as the man and the woman, right? Yeah, archetypes. They need to be balanced within, but then we have layers of density on top of that. Density can be controlled by using the forces that operate within the 22, yeah, by using the negative forces within the atmosphere to do that. So going back to what I was just saying about that with that plasma, yeah, you've never seen, there is, and only nature can do that. And what I have learned here and seen here now, yeah, to the highest degree, it's just total confirmation of what I already know and teach, yeah, is that we have to tether ourselves to the surroundings, yeah. I can make that a charging implosion beat from my heart continuously, right? Continuously. I'm doing it right now, right? And what happens is, when I'm here, the plasma, I can't use it like I could use it in the UK, because I'm already, the feeling of ecstatic, euphoric joy is a natural scenario within. How does that get born about? That gets born about by us accessing this negative, it gets born about by us accessing this negative force, yeah, this negative force within us, right? But not just the negative force, it gets born about through balancing and harmonizing both of these forces. The force which converges inwards, yeah, converges inwards, and this convergence inwards creates an arrest of the force that is diverging outwards and outwards. And that force that is diverging outwards and outwards is no different to an angry man, which you have seen him in the Heartstone reality, who is almost looking for reasons to be at people. Police copper brain syndrome is born from this, yeah. So this is what sorcerers take advantage of. It is the knowing that matter, which contains what I term as the devil or Ahriman, yeah, which contains a demiurge, if you want to call it that. The reason that they were saying this, now with modern occult knowledge and gnosis, the reason that they were saying this is because it is entwined within the matter planes. But the lighter, the lesser, the denser the matter plane that you can access, the more that this can be seen, and the more that dualism diminishes, which is you being able to raise your level of density, yeah, to become much lighter and less dense. So when people have been saying, oh, this new age 3D and 4D and blah, blah, you won't really hear me saying that, because I'm directly working with these forces. So I'm directly knowing these are the layers of density here, right here and now. You're not going to go nowhere. No one's going to put you up in a spacecraft and take you into 5D and 6D and stuff like that. It's gonna happen here, right? And so this is what I'm saying about evil. When an individual drinks, for example, they will refuse to recognise the fact that that drink now made them more that force was more outwardly radiating outwards, yeah, and their sex became more lustful, and their actions became, and their sense and their conscience became dulled, and they were open to more than they would usually be open to, and all of their virtuous nature, what was in there, if there was any in there, became totally viceful. We don't recognize and spin around and go, what was it that caused that? Yeah, because we dissociate. We've been deliberately dissociating ourselves from evil, yeah, when if we operated in the flip side of that, we would find that if we weren't dissociated with it, we would be able to find coherence in it through sympathy and empathy. And what if I told you that sympathy was in alignment with the expanding of your biomagnetic field, which was in alignment with the triggering of an advanced version of yourself? It is. This is the case and scenario that is happened. Stillness. When this child was born, yeah, I didn't cut the umbilical cord, right? Now, I looking at the umbilical cord, it was totally blue. What does that mean? That is the amount of oxygen. It's like if you use a hyperbaric chamber, you see the oxygen connection with plasma within you, yeah, it makes it blue. So it was blue. So it was a high level of oxygen that was coming through, right? And you have never seen a baby. See, like she's doing that now. You've never seen a baby so calm at that point, yeah. And then the baby was born like this because of the plasma. What plasma does, like I was saying, it just makes things grow. So here now, there is the trees. In the UK, the trees, they've got no greenery to them now, they're all going. But here, the field strength is much different. This is the new science. The field strength here, the fields define the reality. And the different combination of field strengths that are here are much stronger, which is why I need to take less plasma to feel that orgasmic charge implosion that then takes me out of those lower denser planes and puts me in the higher heavenly angelic planes here. So as soon as I touch the floor, with my bare feet here, that charge implosion is going to come boom, 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 straight from out of the heart. Yeah. Now, why am I saying this now? The reason that I'm saying this now is because I've known for a lot. We used to speak about years ago, and it was all deliberate about a return to the center, right? Return to the center point, right? To North Pole and stuff like that, right? Now, within esoteric occult knowledge, going back prior to that notion, was always a return to the center of one's being. Here is the center point of your being, this. That's why I termed the urine blood of the Christ. We had to change it because people couldn't handle it at that point, right? Which is all a part of it. Again, this is what I'm saying, why we're here to watch this. So there's a Christ consciousness energy that comes about here, right? And if you watch something called I pet goat. A goat in legal terms means the sewer, which is why you associate goat with devil. Goat, because goat means sewer system, which means dirt, which means under the floor, which means a doormat, which is on the floor, which is a lower denser plane. Yeah. So that's how things actually work. Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the baby out of the equation for a minute and just finish off this video. We do that at 18 minutes. Yeah, keep it real. Yeah. So this is what we're saying. So in iPet Goat, there is a part to that. I may put it up. You may have seen it, or you probably should have seen it. And there is a part to it where there is like a Christ figure, right? And there's a Christ figure, and he's coming through on a boat. Yeah, he's coming through on a boat, and then while he's coming through down this river, which would be one of the 4 rivers that lead straight back to that center point of Eden, which is that cross point, which is a 4 point. There's 4 rivers that come off that, which is why they still have a 4 corner rule. Yeah, and if you apply that 4 corner rule, then the dead corporations cannot take ownership over you, because now you're able to communicate with them on a high level of understanding, because you understand how to operate the 4 corner rule when you are then writing a letter back to them when you are addressing them. Yeah. so to speak. So what happens is he's coming through and he has this heart. Again, you'll see the heart, yeah? And there's a Christ figure. While whilst there is missiles that are coming through and all sorts of turbulence happening. So in the eye of the storm, yeah, in the face of the storm, is the supreme triumphant being is born, yeah. And that is why I'm saying this now, because you will see these evil, see these acts of evil, right? And when you see when you see what we're seeing now, the more conscious we become, the more we can look at it being and we go, God, that's it, without judgment, because there is truth, and that is it, yeah. If an act of evil is an act of evil, you may not think it is an act of evil, but because the reason that one doesn't think it is an act of evil is because of the layer of density that they reside within. It doesn't allow them to be able to see above that level of consciousness of the layer that they're in, due to the level of density that they are actually operating within. Yeah, and so then beings will do things and perceive it to be okay. So, like for example, they're not in touch with our spiritual bride, the feminine force that resides within, as we're saying at the beginning with the baby. So what happens is then, because they are not in touch with the core workings of the self in any way, which again there are veils and levels to pass through. Then imagine, I don't know if you've seen like these cartoons, and you see when they have like I think there used to be something called Care Bears, and their heart used to light up, right? So imagine the heart doesn't light up out of loving emotion. Imagine the heart lighting up out of any reacting to the things that we see with these two dualistic eyes within matter, yeah. Now, because we have disassociated ourselves with what evil is, then means that we don't associate ourselves with what causes those actions, such as a jealousy or an envy, for example. Yeah. So then one is holding on to that, and it's coming from here still. That emotion is still coming from here, and then they will speak from that, with that, yeah. But they will cover it up with a lie, and they would say that the reason that they don't like you and blah 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 is for this and this. But really, it's not because of that. It's because you have done something. You have done something within yourself, for yourself, that they feel they would like to have been able to do that for themselves. Yeah. There are so many instances like that. Yeah, like this, where we allow evil to take place and manifest, because we have previously already normalized it. Yeah, the beings, the here, they have normalized it, and this is why why beings are then characters. Yeah, because they will only operate from that perspective. But that perspective, as I said previously before, you're like walking around mannequins. So from that perspective, what they are showing you to do, what they are showing us to do, yeah, is how to not disassociate from evil, but how to associate ourselves with it, gain coherence, and to not just look at it, embrace it, but also to allow it into one's being, so that we can build in a standing of what this is. So it's like for example, your parents. I'm going on a lot about this lately, because I'm only interested in looking at the core causes that bring us round to these effects. Yeah. So your parents, for example, yeah, they cannot see the greatness in you because they haven't uncovered the greatness within themselves. Now that isn't just your parents. That is any being that doesn't uncover that greatness. That confirms what I'm teaching with this philosophical expression here. Yeah, that confirms that, right? Because they will never be able to do that because they haven't done that they have not become realized themselves. So if they're not able to become realized themselves, then they are operating from a script which is designed so that they will not see you for what you truly have become in your hour of growth. Why is that? Because then you will then learn and become more realized through looking through the dark blackness of the abyss within that black mirror, within the mirror. This is why. But in matter, where we are operating within truth, that our truth can never truly be denied, providing we have already previously ignited it and then began living in action in accordance with the truth that comes out of our mouths. This is what we are doing, and what we have been doing here as Souls, and that's going to lead me then into the video that I'm going to be doing next, which is going to be a bigger one, because there is nothing outside of self other than yourself. Yeah, you are your greatest champion. Yeah, and we can then align that with all of the truths and all of the things that have happened here. So, for example, when we speak about a Krishna, for example, he comes back to rectify. He comes back to redeem. Yeah, when the earth is in decline, when we are in decline. So why would we be in decline? Why would we be in decline? But then, when I use these analogies, I'm not speaking from the perspective of Krishna being standing right here now on an esoteric level and talking about. I'm using the allegorical meaning of such, which always points back to the same core truths. Yeah. It is that the energy will always revert itself, because we're working with three forces here. Those two forces that I was speaking about, the negative feminine, the spiritual bride force, gets suppressed. Yeah, gets suppressed when matter, denser, more imperfect matter that doesn't have wisdom, perceives beauty within nature to be perceives it as being something that it owns and created itself, when it did not. Yeah, and just through that one action alone leads matter to say, okay, this is the road that you choose to go upon. And that's how Sophia works. Yeah, she's triumphant, and wisdom is something which is just a byproduct of that, beyond word. And that is why being able to comprehend the paradoxical labyrinth that we are within is almost beyond words to do. And that is also then why, even in secret societies before they were fallen and other adept schools, that this truth would be passed down. Yeah, not in book, but passed down through action and by using a language above the word. Peace, love, and gentleness.